Hello, I want to welcome you to the Our Revolution Helena program here on Helena Civic TV. My name is Frank Kromkowski, one of the members of Our Revolution Helena. And today our guests are three people who were involved in planning a really neat upcoming event here in Helena. On January 19th, there will be a Helena Women's Rally for Democracy in Montana. And our guests are Ronnie Whitaker from Our Revolution Helena, Jordan Deardahl Roberts, who's an activist here on human rights issues, and Nancy Perry of a group called Rise Together Montana. Now, Rise Together Montana is the main sponsor of this organization, of this rally on January 19th, and you'll learn a lot about that rally and about the issues and what you can expect at this rally. I'll just give a brief introduction. This is the third year of rallies similar to the one that will be happening here in Helena. Back in 2017, a national group called Women's March Movement began and encouraged hundreds of women and men all across the planet to have rallies to gain power over the darker forces that are hurting so many people across the planet. And then as part of the 2017 set of rallies all across the country, right here in Helena, a statewide rally had one of the most largest crowds ever assembled at the Capitol. Over 16,000 people came from all across Montana in January of 2017. And then last year, groups all across Montana decided that rather than having a statewide rally, there would be rallies at different places, in Bozeman and Kalispell and Eureka and Miles City and Browning. And here in Helena, we had a local rally, and that brought together 2,500 people. And that rally was co-sponsored by 28 different organizations, actually 29 different organizations. And this year, the main rally is the group called Rise Together Montana, which was formed back in December of 2017 to shepherd the 2018 rally here in Helena. And so I'm going to ask Ronnie Whitaker to tell us a little bit more about this current rally, what's going to be happening there, anything you want to tell us more about Rise Together Montana.
Well, first of all, I do want to just again say that it will be January 19th from noon to 1. We'll be at the Women's Park, and it's the Women's Rally. We're going to have speakers. Right now we have 4 or 5 speakers lined up, still working on a few more. We're going to have music, and then we're going to have information tables. What we're going to do is we put together some information for people, some handouts, so that people who for the first time want to get involved will have some examples, like examples to letters to the editor, examples if you want to call your legislature, what are you going to say? We'll also have information as to what their email address is, their phone number, so that you can begin to contact them. And the speakers, what we've asked them to do is to talk about what issues are most important to them that's going to be coming up in the legislature this year, what bills are going to be coming up, what things, and besides talking briefly about those issues, we'd like them to talk how they see us responding to it. What do they need from us, the people? So that's basically what we're going to do. And like I said, we're going to have some great music and lots of handouts, so please come.
Great. And so, Nancy.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's a women's rally. By that, did you mean that only women are being encouraged?
No, it's for everybody. We want everybody to come. There's issues on both sides of the aisle that I think people, both Republicans and Democrats, can get behind and support. So, yeah, it's for everybody.
Okay.
And so there are lots of issues that have been discussed in the Rise Together Montana planning for this rally. And I know, Nancy, you've been involved in every one of those meetings to get this going.
Right.
So what are those issues and what concerns have people been bringing that they want to share at this rally?
That's a really good question, because the issues, a lot of these issues were brought to the forefront in this last election that we had. So people watching this might not have thought about some of these issues previously, and then you began to realize during the campaign how important those issues were to you. And the speakers are going to be talking about those specific issues. So if you're worried about climate change or the denial of climate change, that's something that will be discussed there. So you can find other people that are interested in that and have something to say about that. If you're concerned with clean energy, that's very much also an issue that's going to be discussed there. Or if it's fossil fuels or the pollution that comes with hard rock mining, those are issues that'll be discussed. Probably you're worried about clean water and clean air. Well, those are issues that are going to be discussed at the rally. Also, we're very concerned with ensuring equal rights for everybody and also ensuring the vote. So we're going to be talking about the suppression of the vote. So if that is something that worries you, then you might want to come to the rally and find other people that are interested in that. Also, if you're concerned with the influence of dark money, especially if you saw that movie Dark Money and you're thinking, wow, that's really a lot more important than I realized it was, you will be able to hear people discussing dark money, and you can find other people that are concerned with that also. If you're worried about single-payer health care, or if you're worried about whether you can even afford to pay for health care and you want to listen to people who are discussing single-payer health care, then it would be good for you to come. Also, we had a big rally here in the Capitol this week, or last week, I guess it was, about the public lands. And if that got you thinking about public lands, or if that's something that you've been worried about for a while, then you probably want to come to our rally and find people that are similarly concerned with public lands. So if any of those issues sound really important to you, or if you have issues of your own and you want to see if other people are there who want to discuss that, then you want to come to our rally and listen to the speakers, get the handouts from us, because the handouts are going to tell you how to get in contact with organizations that are focusing on those issues.
Okay. Good. And yeah, we'll look at some of the speakers, because there are some additional issues like gun violence that will also be addressed by some of our speakers. So really, it's a women's march for democracy, women's rally for democracy in Montana, and that covers a lot of issues where majority of people have been hindered from getting the things they really want to protect, or the rights they want, both men and women and children. Jordan, you were at last year's rally and going to be at this one too. What other kinds of things would you say that people should know about this upcoming rally, or your concerns?
Well, I think it's really difficult, to sort of feel like that we're moving forward at all. Especially right now, things have gotten very dark. It can be very discouraging looking at the legislative process. I mean, we just had the election, and there's a lot of people say, okay, I voted and we're done. But one of the things as a citizen, your responsibility is to make sure that those people we've elected are the best possible version of themselves they can be. So that means, when you come to this rally, one of the big things is figure out how to contact your state level and federal representatives and be like, hey, this thing that this bill that you're looking at, this is why, X bill should not pass or should pass. Especially in a place like Montana, sometimes it can feel pretty isolating. And so we continue doing these rallies because it lets people know, no, you're not alone. You're not the only one who's looking at what's going on right now and going, something's not right here. This isn't right. This is wrong. This is wrong. And then the next step is, well, what can I do? And that's what we're sort of aiming for, is saying, okay, here's this issue. You look at this in the news and you go, okay, this isn't right. Here's the resources. Here's how you contact the people, right now making the decisions, and here's your next step. Because it can feel, like there's not much you can do now. But no, there's plenty. We've got, especially here in Helena, we've got, the legislature right here. We have the Capitol here. So, this is how you can approach these people and tell them this is what you need to do.
And one of the neat things about this that I like is the fact that if you've never done this before, if you've never called your legislature, you never called your senator, we will have examples of what to say. You'll put in your own issue, but it will make it easier for you to begin that process. I know when I first started it was very difficult, and I appreciated the fact that someone gave me a script and said, here, this is all you have to say, this is all you have to do. And the same with writing letters to the editor. So that's one of the neat things, is like Jordan said, we have to move forward, but this is going to give you some tools to help you move forward with. And
I know I wasn't at the first rally because I was sick in the hospital. I couldn't make it that day, so I had a good excuse. Right. But last year I was there, and 2,500 people, and you met a lot of people that you wouldn't have otherwise known, cared about those issues that you cared about, and you were linked up with 28 other organizations, and you could continue activities, not just coming to a rally for a moment's insight, but for connections to other people, and that will be part of this rally as well, with tables and speakers recommending things and handouts that will lead you to follow up on these kinds of things. And I know that at the Rise Together Montana planning meeting, it was decided that, because it was mentioned, dark money was mentioned, that Rise Together Montana will have a showing of Kimberly Reed's Dark Money film on the week after the rally, on January 26th at the library from 11 to 1. That's Kimberly Reed, the filmmaker from Montana, now living in New York. And that film is just a powerful film that love people. If you haven't seen that, that will be coming up as well. So let's turn to the speakers, and I'll just read off the names of the speakers, and we can talk a little bit more about them. And there will be other speakers as well, and musicians. We can talk more about those. But we're having, as part of the speaker lineup, it's Reverend Marianne Dunwell, who's a representative from Helena area, and East Helena area, who is one of the most dogged persons who cares about people who in their needs and social and economic justice. Then we have Andy Shurtleff, who will be the MC for the rally, and he was a Public Service Commission candidate in 2018, and actually really helped to get rallies going all across the state last year, and this year as well. We have Helena City Commissioner Callie Wicks, who's the newly appointed City Commissioner, and she'll be talking about some of the legislative concerns, not just only at the legislature, but in the Helena City Commission, which has been working on a whole set of issues, including one that Callie mentioned when she was being interviewed for the position, about the crisis in homelessness here in Helena. And as she mentioned at that time, 300 youth are homeless in Helena. And that's a shocking thing. And so she'll be talking about some of her concerns, but she's a member of the City Council. And we'll have Hannah Simonson and Azza Han, who are two members of a group that has the issue that I mentioned before. They're members of Helena Youth Against Gun Violence. And there are all kinds of bills that are coming up both nationally and in the Montana legislature that they will talk about. And then Ann Hedges, who's one of the directors of the Montana Environmental Information Center, will also be one of our speakers. And we'll talk about climate change and what people can do and what kinds of things we need to know and how to get involved in doing that. Not sure if you want to mention anything else about these speakers or possible musicians that we are having.
Well, Judy, and I'll never say her last name correctly,
Fiel
will be singing, and she's trying to get the women's chorus together to do some songs. And we may have a couple of other singers. We're still working on that. So
we'll have some music, and we'll get to sing along.
We'll have some fun music, great music.
Okay. There are going to be rallies in other towns, and I'd just like to mention the ones that I'm aware of now. Besides Helena, there will be Kalispell, Bozeman, Great Falls, Eureka, Montana, Miles City had one last year, and I think are planning one for this year. And Missoula has a march as well, and rally. So that we'll be part of a group of brothers and sisters in lots of rallies. And there are hundreds of rallies that are occurring, not just in Montana, but all over the United States. So if you go to the National Women's March website, you'll be amazed at all the little buttons that pop up for rallies that are happening everywhere, from Alaska to Timbuktu. And we're all part of a national movement to bring some reality to the hope that we sometimes get discouraged from admitting that we have because of, like you say, some of the dark times that we seem to live in. But I know that the group Rise Together Montana, which formed the rally last year, has continued to meet and has now come forth with this rally and has other events besides this. Is there anything else you want to mention about the rally itself or about what you think is really important for people to know?
I would just like to say that 2 years ago I lived in the Washington, D.C. area, and so I went to the Women's March. I had never been to any kind of rally. I was definitely somebody that would sit back in a corner and just watch other people doing that. And I found that a real eye-opening experience, and I've been to rallies galore since then. I really would encourage people to come to this one and see if it doesn't help them out. Before I used to feel pretty helpless about, I wasn't happy about the politics, but I didn't really know what to do about it. And I think when people come to this rally, you realize, oh, I can actually play a role in this. I can do something. Whether it's to, now that I know how to call my congressman, now I know how to do it. Or if I want to write a letter to the IR that it's not hard to do, here's a template to show me how to get started on it, and I can write a letter myself. And the rally gives you a chance to meet other people that are equally interested, and some of them, it's going to be the first rally they've been to also. Hopefully it won't be the last, though. So I encourage a lot of people, if you've never been to a rally, try it out. Come to this one and see what you think.
So if you have any concerns or cares, bring them to the rally, and you can share that. A lot of people, say, well, such and such a group doesn't care. And I've actually never met anybody who doesn't care. But I've met people who have been discouraged, and then we're afraid that if they expressed their care, they would realize that they couldn't do anything about it. But more and more people are finding out that once you start believing you can't do anything about it, that's what the so-called rulers want you to believe. That you're helpless. But we're not helpless. We have lots and lots of power.
And you start to feel that. Once you actually start doing something, once you write that letter to the editor, or you start calling your congressman, you realize, oh, I can actually make a difference. I mean, the first call to the congressman isn't going to turn him around. But if you make a pest of yourself, he has to at least know that there are X number of people out there who are sure not very happy with what I'm doing, and maybe he'll even consider doing it differently.
And not only that, if you make one call, you have to remember there's probably 10 or 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 other people making that call. So you're just adding.
Exactly, because they go by the numbers.
Right.
If 100 people call, it's going to make them stop and think.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I understand that when you call your representatives, whether it's to their local office, I'm talking about congressional representatives, whether it's John Forte or Daines or Tester, that they make a log of who's calling and what your issues are, and they report that regularly. Yeah. And sometimes people don't call because they think that Daines or Tester or John Forte are not going to listen to them. And sometimes that's true. But like you say, to be a pest of yourself is to be a citizen. And that's what's really empowering, and it makes you feel good. Right. That even though you don't know what you're guaranteed that they're going to listen.
Right.
You're guaranteed that they won't listen if you don't express those views. And so a rally is one piece, and like you say, there'll be lots of information shared there about how you can follow up on each of the things that come up at the rallies. You'll meet some really neat people. And there's an old song that says 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 makes a million. And so if you think you're just a drop in the water of humanity, you say, well, thank God that you're a drop in the humanity, because there are billions of us, and we are rising up, just as the name Rise Together Montana says. So it's going to be a great event, I think. It's probably going to be really good weather there at
we're
Women's
promising
Park.
a Chinook.
We've ordered that. So it's Saturday, January 19th, 12 o'clock to 1 p.m. at Women's Park, which is on Fuller Avenue in downtown Helena. Sponsored by Rise Together Montana. There are web pages galore that have information about this. So if you Google Rise Together Montana or Helena Women's Rally for Democracy, you'll find a lot more information than we've actually shared here. Is there anything else that any of you would like to share or encourage or say as a parting encouragement?
Just come on down to the rally. Come
Please
join
come.
us.
We want to see
It'll be fun. If you just want to have fun that day and do nothing else afterwards, just come.
Well, great.
It'll be
I'm planning to be there, and I'm going to see all of you there. and lots of Helena friends. I'm not sure if we'll have 16,000, but we'll have some really good numbers of people who show up, and you will meet good friends, new people, and learn some really good things. So I want to thank everyone of my guests in this Our Revolution Helena program. This is, I think, our 18th program of interviews, and we're happy to be part of Helena Civic TV. That's the end of our program for today, but until I see you again at Our Revolution Helena Television, I'll see you at the rally Saturday, January 19th at noon at Women's Park.